On this video, I'm going to show you how to analyze deals so you can get the right ARV, negotiate the right price with the seller such that you can flip or wholesale that deal, and what it looks like in either equation, whether you're planning on flipping it, wholesaling it, wholetailing it, or whatever you're going to do with it. We're going to talk through multiple exit strategies as well so you know your options when you go into that house. Controlling the deal, getting that off-market opportunity direct from the seller is the key. You control the opportunity on the back end of that deal. It's a great position to be in, and on this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to run the numbers. All right, so we're going to dive in. Let's do a quick review, and then we'll jump into our content today. So our last day, this is day 5 of this 5-day challenge. Hopefully you guys look like the way that your marketing blueprint is starting to come together. You've got your market identified. So the first day we identified a market. We looked at market analysis, and I went through 3 different markets. You guys threw out a ton at us, kind of looked at populations and things like that, and we picked Greensboro, North Carolina. Day 2, we looked at pulling lists. We talked about why we would pull lists, what our list should be. We talked about filters, not over filtering, things like that as we're pulling lists. And we used a platform called ListSource. We talked to you guys about an option to join 7-figure flipping and get a really cheap price for ListSource. And then that was day 2. Day 3, what did we do on day 3? We talked about yesterday was, that was the mail pieces, like types of mail, right? Or types of marketing channels. So skills and your resources, right? So do you have money? Do you have time? What do you have? And then what skills do you have? And what's going to play best to your marketing channel that you want to pick? As you're marketing direct to sellers, or you're networking, or you're driving for dollars, or you're knocking on doors, or whatever you're doing, cold calling, texting, ringless voicemail, pay-per-click, buying leads, all the stuff that we talked about on day 3. Day 4, yesterday we went a little bit deeper into marketing and marketing strategy. Like, who's the avatar? What are we saying? Our messaging. What's our text message say? What do we say when we answer the phone? How do we build rapport fairly quickly with somebody? Like, to really get in front of that avatar properly. So I want to dive right into that because some of you guys shared your homework. So I'm going to dive into that. I'm going to sit down, Andre, and we'll just jump right into this from yesterday. I want to do a review on some of these and get some of your feedback too. So I'm going to share my screen here in a second, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some of these cards that people were sharing. So here we go. What do you guys think about this one? So there's some comments in the Facebook group. We'll just kind of look at these 4 cards real quick, and then I'll go into today's content, which is going to be the exit strategy. How do we analyze our deals? Once leads start coming in, we're going to have to figure out how to run some numbers. And what's the next thing that's holding you back from sending that mail out? So this is Brad's. Brad said, hooray. So what do you guys think about this? I saw some comments on this. So we talked about, yesterday I showed 2 different mail pieces of ours. I showed one that looked like a coupon mailer, kind of a little bit like this, frankly, and then one that looked like a more kind of punch somebody when they open it, they're going to read it, they're going to look at it. Okay, Brad said, too busy and sorry when I missed you saying that this did not work well for you. So Brad, this looks like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is almost the exact same as our kind of coupon card. Very busy, lots going on here. Actually, even more than what we had, right? And what I talked about yesterday was our cards, when we tried this kind of approach, they went down, it was about 3 to 1. Like we got 3 times the calls on our old card than we got on this card. So a massive, and usually you could not tell a big difference between mail pieces on a test, like a split test. It's really hard. You might see like, I don't know, a couple hundredths of a percent, or something like that. We saw a massive difference here. So I like the variable data that you have here on the back, but just way too busy. Lots of different colors. Try to keep it really simple, like really, really simple. Jeff said, makes me want to order pizza. So that's the feedback that I've got on this one. So let's look at a simple one. Let's look at one that's more simple. So how about this one? This one is a little bit more simple, right? So what do you guys think about this one? Give me some feedback in the chat on this one. So cash for your house, call now. Any condition, fast closing. We find a solution for your problems as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, call us. 2, get an offer. 3, get paid. Big phone number, and then the return, right? So I think this is maybe it looks like this might be a markup of the front, but ideally that kind of stuff is on the back. So what do you guys think? Simple call to action, Corey said. Imran said, yep. I'm not sure if that means yes, I like this one, or yes, it's simple. So for me, my feedback here is I think it's pretty simple, right? And it's right there. There's a big call to action. Juan loves how concise the steps are. Remember, it's not what you like. So do you like this for your avatar? Is your avatar going to be pulled into this? One thing that I'll tell you, does it speak to any pain? Does it speak to anybody? So let's just say I'm in pain. I've got something going on in my life. I'm motivated to figure out how to and you have to think, am I a homeowner? Like, do I own this home and live in it, right? When I open the mailbox, or am I an absentee landlord, right? So am I a landlord? Do I not live by the property? Or maybe the property is in the same area as me, but it's not where I live, right? And so who are you mailing to? Maybe you have an owner-occupied mailer that speaks something specific to them, and maybe you have an absentee mailer that is going to say something like, are you tired of the tenants trashing your house? Are you tired of this? Are you tired of wondering if your property is being kept up when you're not there? You know, something like that. So Brad said, I like simplicity, but I don't think this would get my attention in a stack of mail. Joe said it would easily get mixed in with the junk pile. David said lacks credibility, looks too simple, and I like it. Like this one. Love how concise the steps are. So I agree. I think there needs to be something to kind of grab you and pull you in. So it's saying like call now. I think it could get mixed up with some of the other solicitations that they get. There's a doodle card that I wish I had time to find that we use. I'll drop it. Andre, can you write down a note for me to drop a doodle card in the Facebook group and any of the team that's watching? I think that will help because it's got like this, it looks like a kid's drawing of a house and it's got an arrow. It's kind of cool. And so what you see is it kind of pulls you in to that drawing and then you might start reading something. This might not necessarily pull me in and make me want to dive in. Let's see. How about this one? It's a little small. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. So this is the back of a card, right? It looks like it's got an American flag on there. It says, I buy houses on the top. I am not a real estate agent. And then there's a paragraph that reads, do you need to sell your house or property? You may be transferred or need a bigger or smaller house. You may be having financial difficulties and risk losing your house. Maybe you've experienced a divorce or death that forces you to move. Whatever the case, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about buying your house. And then name, phone number, website, and then call me. I can help you on the bottom. So what did you guys like and dislike about this one? So what are some things that you like? Brad said, I really like this one. The American flag would get my attention. So this is exactly my feedback is you put some of those items there, right? Do you need to sell your house or property? You may be transferred or need a bigger or smaller house. You may be having financial difficulties and risk losing your home. I would definitely put bullet points for those pain points. I would just bullet them out instead of more like a paragraph. So you don't have all of this to read. Like it's just, they're going to skim it. They're going to scan it anyway. They're going to see those words. But I would just bullet point those items if I was writing this for somebody. That way they can look at it very quickly, see maybe something jumps out to them. I kind of like that I am not a real estate agent. I like that because they probably get a lot of real estate agent solicitations. So that's kind of cool. And let's see. I think it gets people's wish to avoid realtors. Yeah, I agree with that. Paragraph too big. Yeah, it's a lot of reading in a paragraph. Would you say see what others say with a website? Yeah, that's an option. If you have a bunch of testimonials on the website, things like that. I'll give a quick lesson learned for me. We didn't put our website on before and just allowed them to kind of Google us and stuff like that. I do like having the website on there, but what I wanted people to call. I didn't want them to go to the website. But when you think about what you do now and the way that people operate these days, even older folks, right, that are our avatar, they're pretty much like going and researching stuff, right? When you find something, and even if you're 60 or 70, they're starting to go like look at things online to understand who that company is and things like that. So if I leave it to them to Google me, then my competitor may be bidding against my keywords and some of that stuff, right? And so that might pop up. They might click on that. We've gotten a lot of deals for somebody looking for another company. So keep that in mind. I do like having the website on there. There was a couple years that I just would refuse to put my website on there because I didn't want them going to my website because then we wouldn't be able to capture them. But if you have a good website, some testimony, maybe a video on there, something that's designed to capture their information, it can be another great way for those people that don't want to pick up the phone and call like me. And you might also say call or text because some people might just not want to call, they want to text. So that's a little piece of feedback that I'll give you for a direct mail piece or any message that you're sending, even if you're leaving a ringless voicemail. So call or text. I'd much rather text than call somebody. I just don't have time. I don't like talking on the phone. And there's a lot of people that are just like that. So if our avatar isn't searching, their children are. That's exactly right. You're exactly right. So everybody's searching for you to look at the credibility. What does all that look like? Brad asked if I ever put a QR code on a card. I haven't for like the cards that I've sent. My team may have done that, I'm not sure what we've done. The QR codes are definitely a lot more, and it's more recent, where now people are just used to going to a restaurant using QR codes to pull up a site and things like that. It's very normal to have QR codes. So I'm sure there's some people in the group that are using that. I can't give you any personal history on that. So the sole purpose, so David said, the sole purpose of a mailer is to get the person to call, text, look at a website. That is only the first step to transaction. Can't start a story on a postcard. You're exactly right. Like that is the entry point to that. And that's where kind of this 5-day challenge stops, right? So like after these 5 days, it's like, okay, now they're going to call you. So what do you have to do? You have to build rapport. You have to have a conversation. You have to negotiate. You have to go look at repairs and things like that. And then really start negotiating. And that's kind of what my goal was yesterday morning when I put together that opportunity for you guys was, okay, what are you going to need next? And how can we set that up and give you guys a little bit more after this? So I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, I got one more to show you guys. So we'll zoom in on this one. I think this is Joe's off the top of my head because I was admiring his fingernail in the photo. So we buy houses for cash, fast, and any condition. Real estate problems, we have your real estate solutions. Facing foreclosure, behind on payments, unwanted inheritance, problem tenants, house needs repairs. Local investors looking for homes, his phone number, website, adventure from home. So what do you guys think about this one? Manuel said, I like it. Joe laughed at my joke about his fingernail. It's probably somebody else's, I'm sure. Grabs attention, concise. Joe loves it. Good. Joe, have you used this? Have you sent this out already? And if so, what kind of response and feedback have you gotten? How do you feel about it? Best one yet, Priscilla said, Brad, I like a lot about this one, especially the local investor part. Yeah, I do like that local investor part for sure. I do like that. I like the bullet points. I like the kind of we buy houses, seems clear and concise, the orange pops. So yeah, you think it's eye-catching. Remember, I want you to put yourself in their shoes, not your shoes. So like, what do you like and not like? And you might just really love this one. Christina likes it. A lot of people like it. So, okay, my feedback on this one, I think it's really good. It does look a little bit, stock, like it's professional. It's definitely a professional mail piece. And it might be on like glossy paper. And then if you are getting this many colors, it may cost you a little bit to have full color on that side to get stuff like that. And then if it's on a white card, it might blend in with some of the other kind of like ambulance chaser, lawyer firms and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. But I definitely like the big, bold, like we buy houses, stuff like that. The big phone number, the big website, all that stuff. Everything that we like doesn't matter, right? What is the avatar like? And then what is the avatar in that area? Like how's it performing? Always be evaluating, right? Hypothesize, test, and pivot. And you're gonna have to send this out. Like we could try using this and I send it out and we get a significantly lower response than the one we're using now. We do a little bit of a split test and we would stick with the one that we use. If we get a really good response and people like it, we get some feedback. And remember pro tip that I mentioned. Every time you're sitting at the closing table with somebody, ask them, what got you to call? They're like, oh, it's a postcard you sent. Well, like, what about that postcard made you even look at it? I'm sure you get a ton of them. Like, really, really dig into this. Like, take the time to do that. Juan said, if I read this, noticing it starts with we and looking so professional, I feel like I will be talking to somebody who might rip me off. I don't have a picture of the back. This all is on there for all of them. Easy to change the order of bullet points. Professional, I like this one too. Big phone number. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go back and dive into today. But before we do, I just want to make a couple points. So there's a couple things that I talked about yesterday, and I'm just going to throw it back up here again for you guys. I had some questions about this opportunity that I talked about yesterday. So here, I'm going to put it back up there. So I had a couple questions I want to answer. I want to answer that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer one of the questions that somebody put into the Facebook group yesterday. So here we go. I gave an opportunity. If you guys missed it yesterday, it was all this stuff, my book, the live VIP bonus Q&A next week or so. We're going to come up with a time that works for one of my friends to talk about sales and negotiation and building rapport on the phone and things like that. We got a big bonus package of recordings. The last 5 years of Flip Hacking Live recordings that we put in. And primarily, people asked like, okay, should I buy this just for the discount? Should I buy this just for the recordings and things like that? the whole goal of this, of why I put it together, is 2 months from now, we are holding the biggest and baddest real estate event in the world. And it's called Flip Hacking Live. This is the 6th year. So you've got the past 5 years of recordings that I took, and this is year 6. So everything that is before that, so all the bonus recordings, the Q&A, stuff like that, is going to be designed to take you the steps that you need after this and get you ready for that event. The networking that's there, all the presentations. If you thought that the 5 days so far that you've spent with me, just 1 hour, imagine what like 3 days of that is like with all the house flippers and wholesalers that we have that are going to just give and give and give on stage. The whole goal of this is this Flip Hacking Live event, right? Is to show you guys a little taste over these past few days of what we're capable of in this community. And I'd really love, if you've never been to the event, come to the event, come hang out with us, spend some time, and it really does transform your business. And being there is very different than me talking kind of like to you, with you, at you right now on a Facebook Live, right? So being at that event, you really feel like you can do that. You can do what everybody else is doing in there. So you're gonna really see that you're capable of doing it. And the belief that you get, I was on a podcast yesterday and the guy asked me, he's like, where do you think that success comes from? Like, what is the one thing that you got from that mastermind, 6 years ago that you spent $25,000 on? I said, there's really only one thing. It was belief. It was belief that I could do it. It was seeing the other people. And I actually had to sit in that room. I had to sit next to that person that I put on this pedestal that they can do it and I can't do it. And I had to be there. I had to be in there and just see it. And then once I had the belief, game over. I need the tactics and tricks and strategies and all that stuff. But the belief is really that fuel, especially in the beginning. So that's it. I got some questions about it. One question was, I already bought the list source discount. I bought it on Tuesday when you shared it, and I want to get this. So if you already bought the list source discount, whether it was monthly or it was the annual one, we had a lot of people that jumped in, were pulling lists and using the list source discount. We will give you a refund if you buy this ticket. So if you buy the $397 ticket and you bought $299 on Tuesday, buy the ticket, we will give you the refund for the $299 and you'll have a list source discount for the whole year. So that was the quick start bonus that I did where I'm gonna give the first 50 people that grab a ticket and we still have some left, the list source discount for a whole year. Let's see, what other questions did I get? We got, I already have a ticket, but I'm part of the challenge. Can I get some of these recordings? Absolutely, yes. Send us an email at info@sevenfigureflipping.com and we will get you those recordings. There was another question about a virtual option for Flip Hacking Live. So right now we are 100% in person. We tried a virtual event, or we did a virtual event last year, it was amazing. But in January, we tried a hybrid event. We tried to do virtual and live. And I really, I didn't have a great experience. I didn't feel like I was talking to the people that were in person, and I didn't feel like I was talking to the people who were virtual. It was really kind of like the split concept, and it didn't really work for me. I feel like we had a tough time with it. I don't feel like I connected with either one as well as we normally do. So it's just in person, October 14th, 15th, and 16th in Orlando. We have an amazing hotel. We're following all the local restrictions, and I know there's some concerns with health and COVID and things like that, but we are in person, and I'm really excited to do it and do it safely. So somebody asked me in the chat or in the Facebook group yesterday, they said, Bill, you've been very open to share about your business and the things that worked and didn't work, and you said that it took you 4.5 months to get a deal. So can you share some of the lessons learned from that? Because you had a $30,000 budget, you spent $22,500. That seems to be a little bit discouraging probably for some that have a $1,000 budget, right? Just remember, $2,500 of that went towards a staff member on my team. And about 500 went towards like systems and other things like that I had set up ahead of time because I needed them because I was flying full time. And then about $2,000 for mail. So I was mailing about 2,000. This was also 6 years ago. It's a little bit easier to get my phone to ring. So number one, for me, that question kind of seemed like, what are some tips that you learned that you can share right now? And then what are some of the reasons why you think it took you 4.5 months? And I can answer both of those. So number one, some of the tips and strategies that I'll share with you right now is that I think what happened, so I was mailing consistently. I was consistently mailing. Remember, I was mailing every other month to people, and I was mailing to owner-occupied and absentee owners. That's one kind of constant that was happening. The other thing is I sectioned off an area that I wanted to do deals in. Like I sectioned off an area where I wanted to flip for the first 3 months. So it was a nicer area. It was more competitive. And it wasn't in the more landlord places because I wanted to be a flipper in the beginning. Like I was planning on buying all these houses myself and flip them. So after 3 months, I started mailing in an area that I wouldn't buy houses to flip. They were more landlord, more wholesale areas. And when I started doing that, I started seeing a little bit bigger response. That's one thing that happened. The other thing that I was doing is I was flying full time, like 8-10 hours a day. So I had a lead manager. Her name was Dee Dee. She would answer the phone. She basically did everything. She was like office assistant, lead manager, bookkeeper, did everything. And when I was at work, she was working. So I was flying all day and she would answer the phone. And I said, Dee Dee, I don't have a lot of time to go on the appointments. But so set me up on the weekend and then maybe in the evenings that I can go on appointments. And only give me appointments for really, really motivated sellers. The people who are like ready to give away their house to us. That's it. That's the only leads that I can handle because I don't have a lot of time to go on appointments. So obviously you can see where that mistake is, right? So we were trying to determine motivation over the phone very quickly on a phone call and then say, yes, we'll come see your house, or no, you're already asking too much. And she was doing that filtering, not me. And so that was one big mistake that happened. So after 3 months, I made the change to start mailing a little bit larger area. And then I also hired a salesperson. So I hired somebody on commission only to come in and close because I was going to all the appointments, but they're on the weekend. So somebody would call and say, I'd like you to come see my house. I'd like you to make me an offer. And Dee Dee would say, oh, let me see when the next available is. Okay, it's Saturday. And they're like, oh, I can't make Saturday. She's like, well, what about Sunday? And you're working sometimes. No, that doesn't work either. How about the week after that? So then it would be like 2 weeks before I would go see the house. And then we would put them in. I would go see the house. I'd talk to them for an hour or so, make an offer. They don't like it. And then it'd be gone. I would not do a good job following up. My follow-up game was very, very bad. Remember, I don't like talking on the phone. And I'm very fast. I have no patience. I just want the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. So I hired a salesperson, and then she went back into all the leads that were in the database from the very beginning and started calling all them and negotiating and going on appointments. And she started dropping deals very, very quickly on stuff that we passed up in the past. So the things that weren't very motivated, they weren't motivated on the phone. They were actually motivated. They just didn't want to sound that way on the phone or didn't sound that way up front. So the lesson learned there is, when in doubt, set an appointment. Go practice, go meet with that seller, go talk to him. You never know what's going to come from that. And for us, what came from it was a bunch of deals. We did I remember that first deal that we did, that was as a team. There were 3 of us on the team before we ever did that first wholesale deal. It wasn't just me. So, and primarily it was my time, and we were also over-filtering people, way over-filtering people. So that's one big thing and lesson learned that I have that we learned from that I can share with you guys is so now we teach, take the phone call, talk to them, go on the appointment, get your reps in, even if they want retail, I don't care. In the very beginning, if you're just getting started, you need practice negotiating. You need practice walking properties. You need practice evaluating repairs. You need practice comping properties, just like we're going to do today. You need that practice. So go walk the properties, go do that stuff. Spend the time with the seller, even if they're going to laugh you out of the house or just say no or tell you they'd rather burn it down than sell it to you or whatever they're going to say to you. So do that over and over and over again. So, all right. That's my feedback. That's my answer. I think I answered it all. If not, drop something in the comments and I will. So, all right. Okay, let's move on to today. I'm just going to pull up a couple things that I'm going to work on today. I have no idea where my mouse went. Here it is, because we're going to be doing a lot of computer work today. So here's what I'm going to do today. I am going to start looking at exit strategies. So a lot of you are going to say, all right, Bill, I understand. I got this marketing blueprint. I got all these things set up. I got my list. I've got my mail piece or my cold calling list or I skip traced or I did all these things, right? But when that phone call comes in and they ask me what my offer is, I'm not going to send my mail out because I'm not ready there yet. And I want to know how to have the answer for them before I send them. And I see this a lot. I want to know from point A to point Z before I even go from point A to point B. So my push to you right now is go send the mail. Go make your cold calls. Go drop your text message bomb. Go start buying leads. Whatever it is that you decided. Go knock on doors. Go have conversations. What you need to do then is once that mail goes en route, then you take this and you start taking the next step to start understanding the area. But you can't comp a property or look at a max allowable offer without getting a lead, right? So we're going to practice. We have to assume a certain lead today. And I'm going to go through this book again, Master Deal Analysis. So chapter 11. And it starts with, a few years ago, I lost $70,000 because of some train tracks. So is deal analysis different for house flippers and wholesalers? Comping properties. These are the sub headlines. So today I want to take away that fear. I want to take away that that thing that's holding you back from sending that mail, that stuff. So today I'm going to pull up our list, and what I did this morning very quickly right before this. So here's the list, right? Here's the list that we had. Is I just went down, so you can see here on this age. Where's the age? So Rob got me this. You might have age. So here's Lead Fusion. Here's Rob's Lead Fusion list. I just went down to the one of the older people, right? 92-year-old person here, and said, okay, this is an unknown equity property. So this property, we don't know how much equity is in it. And they live in Lakeview in High Point. So they live in North Carolina. And the address, so this is Wilson Moore, and it looks like his wife, Annie Moore. Could be a family member, could be a daughter, something like that, in 2506 Woodruff Avenue. So I just pulled one of the older people. If you don't, and look, I just did this, and we're just assuming that Wilson just called us, right? So Wilson called us, and I'm trying to figure out how much this property is worth, right? So this is the control right here. This is the list that I bought. This is the Greensboro, North Carolina list. It's got like 2,000 names on it. And I just pulled this guy on number 17 because he just happened to be a little bit older, and I grabbed an address. So let's go to that. Juan said, my very specific fear. I send email saying, or send mail saying, I buy houses for cash, get an interested person, I really don't have the cash. We can talk about that too. All right, so I'm just gonna pull up, so I got this house, I'm gonna have to write it down, 2506 Woodruff. All right, I am going to pull up a couple websites. And remember, I'm gonna use all free tools today. I'm gonna use free stuff, not the MLS, not a realtor. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna work through some of this stuff here in the book. So I'm gonna work through some of these equations. And what we're looking to do is to figure out what our max allowable offer is. So I'm gonna come over here, and I've got a very simple formula in here for like a bunch of formulas at the bottom here for wholesalers and flippers to figure out what our max allowable offers are and make some adjustments. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm just gonna go full screen here so you guys can see it a lot better. And we're gonna jump into this house on Woodruff Avenue. So let's just assume that we got a call from this gentleman on Woodruff, and he wants us to come out and look at the property, and we're doing a little bit of pre-work here. So what I did was I have Zillow, I have Redfin, or Realtor.com and Redfin. So the first thing that I would do typically, and I searched it this morning, I searched a couple properties to understand this, is this 2506 Woodruff Avenue. So here's my Zestimate. So right here, I've got a Zestimate. I don't know why that did that. So a Zestimate, and I've got a rent estimate here too. So right now, I'm writing down on my paper, and a lot of you guys might right now be saying, Bill, what are you talking about? Like, Zestimate is junk in my area. It's not right. It's way off, or it's usually pretty on. Whatever you're saying right now, just give me a chance, okay? All right, so I've got the Zillow estimate. I've got right here, 2506 Woodruff Avenue, then I'm gonna search in Realtor.com. So Realtor.com has got an estimated value for them right here of $130,300. It's got the medium home price, and it's got the median price in that area, a little bit of info, and then it also says a preliminary offer from Open Door for $143,800. So I'm gonna write down $130,300 from Realtor.com, and I'm also going to write down $143,800 just as an idea from Open Door, since they gave it to me. All right, now I'm gonna go to Redfin, and I'm gonna type in Woodruff, and their estimate is $126,222, and that's Redfin. And it also says this house was last sold in 1988. So it gave me a little bit of information for $59,900. Usually I'd get that from the county records. So I'd go to the county, and we'll probably do that today, see if I can find it. Estimated sales price, they're showing between $124,000 and $137,000. I'll just kind of write that down also, just to get some idea, get some information, right? I'm gonna write down 3-bed, 2-bath, $1,421. 3-bed, 2-bath, $1,421, 0.41 acres. They got a picture of the house here, it looks like. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1421. So that gives me a little bit of an idea. Typically the way I try, and I haven't done this here in this county yet, but I usually go back to here, the tax history, right? So I want to see the assessment is $68,000. It was sold in 1988 for $59,900. So they lived there quite a while. And then I usually try to go to the county records this way. That didn't work. So what I need to do is type in the address, which is 2506 Woodruff, and let's see what we find. Okay, so Wilson Moore. So the next step that I'll do if I'm looking at this property and kind of comping it out is I'll look at this person. So it's Wilson Moore and Annie Moore, so that's right. The owner's mailing address, though, it says is 2506 Woodruff Avenue. But I had a different mailing address on my list here because I only pulled absentees. So 2506 Woodruff, and it says that they live. Oh, that's their mailing address. Okay, I'm going to comp this property anyway. So they live here and the property's here. So I screwed this up. All right, I'm going to comp this property anyway. Let's just say we switch those. They're at Lakeview Drive. So I'm actually going to comp their primary residence so they have another house here. My mistake, it's not going to make a difference here. We just want to comp a house. So David said that they're usually off by 25% in their areas. Estimates are garbage. So you guys are confirming what I said. Let's see if they are garbage in this case. So we've got this guy, we've got his house. Really the reason that I'm here is because I want to see what it sold for before. I want to see the total living area. I want to see the acreage. I want to make sure that all that's right because a lot of times it's not. I want to see if there's any photos. A lot of times they got photos here. So this photo was from 2013. It's not giving me a ton of great information. They've got sales prices here. So let's see. This is actually really nice. Look at this. They got sale prices in the area. Wow, this is a really cool county site. So I'm looking at this for the first time. So 23. I'm gonna write some of this stuff down because we're at 2506 Woodruff, right? That's our house, 2506 Woodruff. And I'm going to show you right here. Here's a house that just sold. These are houses that sold fairly recently, aren't they? Like, look at this. Look at this one right here. This is an interesting one. 2622 sold for $65,000. So I want to start looking at this. Wow, this is great information. So 2309 Woodruff sold July 22nd, 2021 for $135. 2513 sold, I'm just writing this down so I can come back to it, for $146K. Let's see. 1410 Wiltshire sold on February 9th. It might be a little bit out of what I want in today's market, but I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to write down this Carolina. 1602 Carolina sold January 8th, 2021, 115. I got two comps, like recent, right by each other. And then I'm also going to write down this one on 2622 Woodruff, May 6th, 21. I'm definitely going to look at this thing because when I'm talking to that seller, I'm going to bring up that house, I'm sure. All right, so 135, 146, 65,000, all within the last 3 months, 3.5 months on the same street. Those are really good. That's great to have. Let's see, deed, some land, tax bill. Let's see if he's delinquent on his taxes. Maybe it gives us the tax bill. So he currently owes $933 on the tax bill, but it's not due till September 1st. So he's got to pay his taxes, $933 by September 1st. All right, so I've got what I need from here, and I want to go back to this. So let's see if I got some photos of the house. It looks like just that one street view one. I can kind of look around the area. You can use street view, is great. I'm going to note that it has a carport. So So you guys, I gotta clear that. So you guys can see the carport. That's one thing that some of the other houses might not have. The roof, it's hard to tell what year this is. It says 2021 Google, but I don't know when they took that. Looks like he's got kind of like a little shed out there and people parking in the street or in the grass and all these things. So little neighborhood. It's definitely below that median home price, right? It's about 35%, it said, below the median home price. You can see some of these people don't have carports, so that might be important. I would probably drive up and down the street a little bit on Google Earth before going there, but that gives me enough information. I don't see a bunch of pictures. I can assume it's probably dated. I don't know if it's updated, but I ask him on the phone, right? And so now, what am I looking for now? So now I actually want to look for these other houses that sold first. So 2506, we got 23. I'm actually going to look at the one 2622 first. 2622 Woodruff. Let's look at this thing. It just sold. Hopefully there's some photos on here. Sold May 6th, 2021. It's 2-bed, 2-bath. So it's a 2-2 and it's bigger than ours, 1669. So our subject property, remember, is 3-2, 1,421 square feet, so 1421. So let's look at this thing, see if it's got any photos. It's got a carport, slightly different. It looks a little bit different than ours. Maybe there's a basement. It's hard to tell. But it's pretty much like right down the street. So 2622 and we're 2506. So not far. I usually kind of come down here and try to stalk a little bit what was happening before. So it was listed on the MLS. Oh my gosh. So this thing, it should have photos here. See if we can find photos on one of the other websites. So it was listed on March 18th for $64,900 and it sold for $65,000. And before that, let's see if there's a previous sale history. In 2012, it was listed for sale and then removed. So I can't see anything older than this. I'm going to go down to the tax data, though. I'm going to look at this property. I should have done that in the county site already, is clicked on it and see who bought it. So 2622. And the reason I'm going this deep is it's really important to do this kind of research. I want to see if this is like a flipper that bought it, what they're doing, if it's an LLC. So it's a person, Earl, bought it in May, and he lives there. So Earl bought it to live in. Okay. So it's not going to be coming up on the market. So let's look at 2309 Woodruff. These are on the same street. So 2309 Woodruff, it's easy. I don't have to. So this is a 31997. Oh my gosh. You hear that? 31997 square feet, and it sold for $135,000. Wow. So let's take a look if we got some photos on here. No carport. Doesn't look that special. Okay. Let's go down and see the story. So 2007, it sold for $63,000, and it was listed on the MLS. This one's also on the MLS, 135. So it's not a flipper. It doesn't look like. I'm going to go back to the county, and I'm going to look at this one, 2622 Woodruff. Oh, sorry, that we were looking for 2513. Let me look at the sales. I bet I can just click into here. Here's 2513 sold for, or 2309 is the one we're looking at. 2309, James Rogers. Deeds, it's person to person to person. So not a flipper either, it doesn't look like. That's wild that one sold for 65 and one sold for 135. I gotta find some photos of this. So let's look at the other sales. Here's 2513, 146. These deeds. I'm trying to go as slow as I can while realizing that we're short on time. So this was another one that looks like it was a person to person and not necessarily a flipper. But these are really good comps. So let's look at, so we got 2309 and we got 2513. So let's look at 2513 real quick. Maybe we have some photos. It's driving me nuts that I don't have a ton of pictures, and these are on the MLS. So let's see if this one was on the MLS too. It was. So Listed in March, sold in May also. These people are taking forever to close. And it's sold in 2020. Look at this, sold in December 2020 for $30,000. That probably was somebody fixing up a house, I suspect. And I bet that house might look like this now. No carport. Similar. This is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, and I'm writing this down. 1232. So both of these are actually smaller than our subject property of 1,421 square feet. Okay, so let's see what else is out there right now. And I would definitely like to see some pictures of this, but this house for $65,000. So what I did here, we've got, the first thing I did was I just went to sold properties. So here's what I've got. Sold properties in the last 6 months. That's it. That's what you're seeing here. And let's get to know the area a little bit. It looks like we have a road here, like a main road. We have a metro. It looks like bus stops along Greensboro Road, Greensboro Drive. And I can zoom out a bunch and see we're right on 74. That's like the main High Point area. So High Point is that circle that you see, that blue. And then we're kind of outside of Greensboro in that southwest area. So this is in our zip code of where we were looking. And it looks like there's some cheap properties on the south of Greensboro. And in here, there's a mix between $52,000 sold property, 2-bed, 1-bath, $775. Here is this is 2622. This is the one that we looked at. Sold for a 2-bed, 2-bath, sold for $65,000. We got another one for $66,000, a little bit smaller. As they get a little bit bigger, it looks like. So my question is this an outlier or not? We have $135,000 here and $146,000 here. So what's going on there? So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's anything for sale. So it looks like there's a couple homes for sale. And I want to see what they look like. So this one is $150,000, 3-bed, 1-bath. Oh, good. Thanks, Brad. I'm going to jump over there in a second and look at Redfin. So this one's got a carport. It doesn't look like it was renovated, but it definitely looks like it's in good shape. Tile countertops, which I cannot stand. It looks, you can see it's definitely, I don't know, this door looks beat up, the door jamb. I don't know if that's just I'd say it's in fair condition. It definitely is not. Okay, this bathroom looks pretty nasty, doesn't it? So something's going on here. It needs some repairs. This looks like it's got a basement. Oh, maybe not. This might just be the laundry room. So it needs some repairs. Roof looks a little bit older. And let's see how long this thing's been sitting on the market. Oh, I don't want facts. I want this. So listed in June. So just like our property sold for 68, and they're listed for 170 down to 160 down to 150 now. So interesting. All right. Brad said Redfin shows 2309. So let's look at that one. If we can find those pictures. Okay, sold. This is the one, 2309, $135,000 that sold. And so we can see some pictures. Yeah, looks like it was. Although, look at that. Okay, don't sell your house with a dishwasher that has a giant dent in it. So they still kept the kind of white appliances. So this thing looks, I don't know. It looks like they refinished the floors, maybe painted it. This bathroom looks like there's been some work done to it. But it's nothing that's like really like blowing my mind, right? So you're getting $135,000 in this area for something like that. So the reason why I'm looking at this is I'm trying to figure out who's buying these. Flippers, landlords, people that are living here. If I'm going to renovate this house, if I'm going to wholesale this house even, I want to know who my customer is, right? My exit strategy, what is it? Let's see if the other one is there. Let's see if 2513 is there also. These are probably the two that I'll work out of. Yeah, this has got pictures on Redfin too. So we can see it's not really that nice. I bet if we made it like a really nice house over here, we could sell it really fast. So that should give us an idea of this area. We have comps that are kind of right in here. So I'll put those back. Let's see what else is our competition. So I always like to see what our competition looks like. And if there's really nice houses on the market and they're listed. So this one needs kind of new, this is just older houses, right? New carpet, new paint. These things have not been really touched up. Man, I might need to move to Greensboro, start flipping houses. You could probably buy this off the MLS for like 80, put like 10 into it and sell it for 150. So this one's 170. Let's look at this one. All right, now we're getting a little bit closer. This one looks a little nicer. So let's look at this one. So we got a 3-bed, 2-bath. That's the same as our subject property. We're not crossing main roads to get there. It looks renovated. It actually looks renovated and staged. Unless it might be the homeowners living there. Yeah, it probably is with all this stuff. It's in really good shape. That's redone. Still has popcorn ceilings, but that bathroom looks beautiful. Everything looks really nice. Deck. Some artificial turf in the front. They're really nice here. Let's see how long this has been sitting. So they bought it in 2019, and it got listed August 20th. What is that today? Yeah, that's today. Okay, so just listed. This is exciting. Let's see if that's too far away from us. So what is this here? Looks like an apartment complex. Something like that. What is this? So I would probably go to Google Earth and just do a little bit more research and digging. But I don't think that's too far out of the realm of, like, almost looks like this neighborhood right here. Should comp out pretty similar. So this doesn't have square footage. Let's see if we can get the square feet without going into the county. Let's just go to the county. We're already there. 2105 Arbrook Lane. It is 1288 with 0.2 acres. We have 0.4. So we have twice the land and a little bit more square footage. Pretty good. And they do live there. So these people live in the house. This looks like a pretty good one. All right, so we've got a couple of these, an idea of these properties, right, of what they're selling. Remember, we got 146, 135, and those were 1,200 square feet. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the price per square foot. So I'm going to look and say $146,000 house at 1,232 square feet gives me $118 a square foot. So I'm going to write that in. And then $135,000 house at $997 price per square foot is $135 per square foot. And I just want to have that just for now. And that one that's listed for $170, and remember, it just got listed today, so I definitely can't look at that. But that is $170. I like $1,232, like $137 a square foot. So they're looking at that comp. I bet they looked at that comp, the 2309 that sold July 22nd at $135 a square foot and listed around the same price as that one, even though their house is a little bit nicer. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. So we've got our subject property, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,421 square feet, and I'll put it back here. And a lot of this is me taking more time because I don't know the area at all. I just don't know this area. So I want to get to know it a little bit before I just jump in and start looking at this. So 3-bed, 2-bath. We have an as-is comp, like a house on 2622 Woodruff. So I'd try to find out more information on that. I'd look at the images and pictures and stuff. Sold for $65,000 on the MLS. It was a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,669 square foot house. I would have liked to have bought that house and put like $30,000 into it and resold it. So let's just say at $120 a square foot, what our house is going to look at. 1,421, $120 a square foot. That's $170,000 ARV. So Zillow said 121, Realtor.com said 130, Open Door said they give me 143.8, Redfin said 126.2. And this is probably more of a non-fixed up property. But nothing is really sold in that area for that price, right? The highest one that I saw sold for 146 in the last 6 months. So that's the other problem that you have to think about and run into as you're comping properties is $146,000 is the most anybody's paid in that market, right? So can it afford the $170,000? I definitely watched this one at 170 that's listed right now, but that's something that I would explain to a seller when they're saying, well, there's a house listed right down the road for $170,000. This one for 150. Let's look at this one a little closer. This was the one that looked like it was in in pretty good shape and not selling, right? The tile countertops are bad. That bathroom needs to be repaired. So if I can give somebody a turnkey property, I would say I can probably get $150,000 in this neighborhood. And maybe I get 170 depending on what this house sells for. So this house is a little bit smaller, the one on 2309 Woodruff. It sold for $135,000, and it was a 3-bed, 1-bath. So I have I have an extra bathroom, and I have 500 more square feet than that house does. So that leads me to the fact that I think that I can bump it up. I also have a carport on my house, and so I think I can reasonably say, I could argue to you as a house flipper that you can get $150,000 for this house. If it's fixed up, right? And remember, that one that sold on Woodruff, it didn't look that fixed up. And so if you really wanted to stretch it, I could probably squeeze $160,000 out of it potentially. I'd be watching that $170,000 house, but remember, nothing has sold over $146, and that was in May. So I think 150 this seems to be an area that's a little bit more blue collar, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of rental properties there either. And if it could rent for $1,400, that's just not enough to be a big landlord area. So I would probably be looking to flipping this house, fixing it up and selling it. So marketing it to a flipper. So now, if we can agree that we're somewhere between 150 and 160, and we'll operate off $150,000 ARV just to do the math here. So now, as a wholesaler, what I want to do, if I was a flipper, I would be working my numbers back. And as a wholesaler, you have to do the same thing. You have to work your numbers back from a flipper. Andre, can you give me a screen so I can draw something here for them on this screen? So now I'm working off $150,000 ARV. So that's after repair value, if you're unsure of that definition. So after repair value, once somebody fixes it up, whether it's me or somebody else, this is what I think it can sell for. So let's operate off of that. Let's assume we're at $150,000. And from there, I want to start working it back to go for my MAO, my max allowable offer. So basically what I need to do is I need to take my $150,000 ARV, and let me know when you've got that set up for me, Andre. I appreciate it. Then from there, we work back to, we got to take off our profit, right? All right, we'll work on that. So I'll talk you guys through it, and we'll see what we can get here. So what we've got is, okay, you guys can see the dollar signs now. So I'm gonna kind of write out a couple formulas here so you guys can see this. So just give me a thumbs up and let me know that you guys can see all my pretty cool dollar signs here. I think that you can. So, all right, I'm getting some thumbs up, some hearts. I don't know if somebody's crying, the crying face. All right, okay, cool. So we're working off $150,000 ARV here, right? So we're at $150,000, and this is our ARV. So now what we need to do is we need to work back to our max allowable offer. And so what do we have in there? So if we have somebody right now who's going to renovate this house, what you have to do is you have to think about how you got to, as a wholesaler, I wouldn't go overboard with this, and you can probably get some really short equations here as you get more experienced. But the flipper's got to make some money, right? And they typically are running their numbers. As a wholesaler, you have to actually buy this house cheaper. So if I'm walking in to talk to this seller, and they're a flipper, and I'm a flipper, and I'm talking to the seller, then I can pay more than you can as a wholesaler, because you got to build in a fee, right? We have to build in a wholesale fee of something. Maybe it's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever it is. You got to build in a wholesale fee that you're going to make by selling the contract. So what you want to figure out is, if I'm going to work this back, and I'm going to use green because we're talking about money. So I'm going to work this back. So in this equation, there's just a couple things that you really have to worry about. You have to worry about holding costs. You have to worry about profit. You have to worry about repair costs. And that's really it, depending on how you define your holding costs. So let's go there real quick. So in these holding costs, there's a couple things that go there. So there's money costs, right? There's tax. There's insurance. And we go really deep on this in the book. So money costs, tax, insurance. There's miscellaneous stuff, like you got to cut the grass. You got to, let's see, what else could be in there? Maybe it's a place that has a tough winter, and you're flipping through the winter and there's snow removal and things like this. And this is where most people, utilities, thank you. There's utilities. And there's these kind of things that as you're flipping a house, you just have these holding costs that can eat up a lot of what you have going on. And then everybody's going to look at their repair costs and their profit a little bit differently. So I wouldn't take, you really have to, you can't just assume that every flipper is going to run their numbers the same way. Because what I found as a wholesaler is a lot of times, some of these flippers might be living in the house and repairing it themselves. And some of these flippers, I've seen flippers that are willing to take very small profits just to keep their crews working, right? So really what you want to do is you want to start working this back and running your numbers on a rough estimate of what you think would happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this chapter 11 of the book, and without me giving you the context, I'm just going to tell you the numbers that I used. So I talk for about 10 or 15 pages about all these things, and I give you a much simpler formula. So in here, what I talk about is all of this profit ARV. So here's what I have. Calculate your maximum allowable offer. By now, you've comped your property and determined the ARV, which we did, right? You've calculated your purchasing costs. And then in here, in the book, we calculate our holding costs, our financing, and our closing cost. So in here, if you talk about holding costs, you might also have closing costs on the front end and back end. Realtor fees, things like that are all in there. So now it's time to calculate your maximum allowable offer. To do this, simply deduct your profit, which we talked about, right? Right here. Your profit, your holding cost, your closing, financing costs, estimated repairs, all that stuff. So all you've got is ARV minus these three, and then you'll get your maximum allowable offer as a flipper. Now, as you're a wholesaler, you got to subtract your assignment fee, whatever you want to make. So make an adjustment. So what I've got for me, which works a lot of times, is I take 15%. Okay? I take 15% in here for these. Now, if you can just figure out that number as a flipper or a wholesaler on average where your people are, then these things are typically something that you can figure out. So the holding cost is the hardest part, that I'm adding up lots of different things, right? Money, tax, insurance, miscellaneous utilities, all these things. So for me, when I was flipping, this was about 15% for me of the ARV. Remember, of the ARV. So money, cost, taxes, insurance. I go much deeper as to why that is, to go really deep into the holding costs. And we talk about it in some of the videos that we're going to share with you guys if you grab your ticket to Flip Hacking Live and things like that. It would take a really long time. So let's do the math here. I'm going to use green because it's probably a little bit easier to see. So we got $150,000 ARV. And let's use my equation. So what I do is I would say I want to make about $25,000 on this house. There might be flippers that say I'll make no less than 30. Flippers that might say I'm okay with making 20. If you're a flipper, Imran, I put the sales costs like realtor fees and things like that inside the holding costs. So for some of you, if you're paying retail on the back end, like 6% to a realtor, that it might go up a little bit. You might have to run 20% on the holding costs. So can you guys drop in if you're flippers on a house like this making $150,000? How much would you want to profit? What would you want your profit to be on a $150,000 house? Mine is $25,000. So go ahead. You guys can drop that in there. And I'm going to do some math here. 150,000 times 0.85. So that gets me down to 127.5. That's after my holding cost. This is assuming I've got $22,500 in holding costs. So John wants to make $40,000 on this house. Michael wants to make 18 to 22. 20% margin. So Dwayne wants to make 20%. So he wants to make 30,000. Juan wants to make 20. Yep, agree. Imran, what we did was I've got about 2.5 to a selling agent, and then maybe 1 or 1.5 to ours. So 4% of that is there. And then I'm going to hold it with money costs. So I'm just assuming it's 12% interest. You've got 1% per month. So if you hold it for 6 months, there's 6%. So now we're at 10. and then 5% for taxes, insurance, utilities, things like that. So we can go a lot deeper into that, obviously. But let's just make an assumption. Nancy wants to make $50,000 on this house. Nancy wants to make $50,000. So what you can see, I've got a range here from $18,000 to $50,000. So as a wholesaler, can you guys see how this number is going to be defined, this profit number is going to be defined by whoever is opening your email, right? And running their numbers, right? So, and so is holding costs. All of it is kind of all over the place. So $127,500 after the holding costs, right? And let's take my 25,000. Let's make it 27.5, so we'll have some easy math. So I want to make 25 grand. So we're at 102,500. There we go. So my profit on this is going to be 25K. So let's make that assumption, 25,000. I'm like off on the side. Okay, and then let's say the repair cost here on a 1,500 or 1,400 square foot house is $30,000, right? Let's just assume it's 30 grand. That's quite a bit to put into a house like this. So I'm going to subtract $30,000 from this. I'm going to get to $72,500. So if I was a flipper, that's got 15% in holding costs, going to be $25,000 in profit, and it's going to be $30,000 in repairs. My MAO is $72,500. My max allowable offer when I go into that house. My handwriting is pretty sloppy. Now, if I'm a wholesaler, remember, if I'm a wholesaler, then I'm going to need to subtract my wholesale fee. So what does my wholesale fee want to be? If you're a wholesaler on this call, what do you want to make on this? Tell me what you want to make on this. So for me, I'd be fine making, let's call it $10,000. We're probably pretty high on the repairs, but we're assuming we've got a $30,000 in repairs for this house. That's quite a bit, but it might take that to get to 150. So 62,500 is my wholesale. So 10,000 wholesale fee, 7,500, 20,000, no less than 15, 10 to 15, 15. And you guys are greedy. Craig, 7. There you go. Okay, so Brad said his spreadsheet spit out $72,300. So 62.5. And remember, if you're a wholesaler, this is a rough guide to go off of. Like what got me stuck before. So 62.5, and this is an MAO for a wholesaler, and this is for a flipper. So these two numbers you can see as a wholesaler, you're going to need to get this house $10,000 cheaper than the flipper, or whatever your wholesale fee is. Michael, 8 to 10. Brad wants 15. Okay, cool. Andre, can you come back to me? Okay, so when we're coming in to look at these things, what I want you to do is I want you to understand, if you're just getting started, you're going to make mistakes in this business. But what I don't, and I don't know if you thought this was complex or not, but I got a rough estimate. We're maybe about 30 minutes. A rough estimate what I think this house is going to sell for. Frankly, I think that I could sell it for 160. So I actually think I could add some money to that bottom line. And this house sold in 1988 for $59,900. So as a wholesaler, I'm going in there telling this guy that I want to buy his house for $62,500. And there's a house that just sold down the street that was bigger than his house, 2622 Woodruff, that sold for $65,000 on the MLS. They had to pay a real estate agent. They had to have their house on the market. They had to have people go through it. They had to do all of those things. So I think there's a pretty good likelihood that if he's motivated to sell and wants to move out, that I can actually do that or even better. I might even be able to do better than that, depending on how I paint the picture. And I have no idea what condition this house is in. Maybe when I go there, I realize that it actually needs a new roof. It needs foundation issues. It's got all these other problems. But he might tell me that, no, it's just got a little bit of updates. I haven't updated it since 1988, since we bought it. We put in new appliances, but that's it. So I need to hear the story from him. I need to understand what tell his story and all of those things, and go through that. So what you've got to understand is, as a wholesaler and as a flipper, is you're running a business, and you've got to really kind of just look at the picture, listen to them. But you can't pay $90,000, $100,000 there and send it out to your email list and think somebody's going to buy it. unless they want to live in it. You can see there's houses that are selling for 110. There's a listed house for 110. There's a listed house. So look at the whole story, the holistic picture that you see when you go into that neighborhood. You start looking around and just let the data. Remember, if you got nothing from this, just realize there's so many numbers and information and data out there, especially with access that we have to the internet. I didn't use the MLS. If I had the access to MLS, I'd have been able to pull so much more data so much quicker and be able to see what's pending right now potentially, and things like that. You can use a lot of, I wanted to use only free things, so you saw I'm not using like paid services, like I'm not running things off PropStream, I'm not running things off other MLS access that you won't get, but I can do this right now. This is how I did it for the first year. I did not have access to MLS. We would run our numbers based on Zillow, and we did this. Zillow, Redfin, so remember, Zillow said 121, Realtor.com said 130, Open Door said they'd give me 143.8, Redfin said somewhere between 124 and 137. So I think their numbers are off. So some of the people said that they're like what you said it's about 50% ARV. And in this market, in this area, and so I'm going to cover something based on that. You're right. In Pensacola, it was very similar. Our median home price somewhere around 160, 170, and I found almost all the houses that I bought as a flipper were about 50% of ARV. That's about where I landed. And as you do more deals, you'll be able to start seeing trends. And so the better you can comp properties, if you spend the time comping the properties as a flipper, then your math is usually pretty easy. It's that percentage of that. But you have to continue to comp properties. And as long as you stay in that wheelhouse. So somebody else said they use 70% minus repairs. That's fine. It can work. But if it's a $90,000 house or a $100,000 house, it doesn't work. Because you're building your profit and all your holding costs and everything into that 30%. So that means if you have a $100,000 house and you're using 70% of ARV minus repairs, then you're saying that your profit and all your holding costs and your money costs and your selling costs and all those things that we talked about, utilities, insurance, taxes, it all gets rolled into that $30,000. That doesn't work for me. And then same thing goes if you're in a $400,000 or $500,000 house. Let's use a $500,000 house for example because it's easy math. What that means is in a $500,000 house, my 70% is $150,000. So $150,000 builds in my profit and all my holding costs, where it might actually be 100. Like you might be able to pay more. You might be able to go to 80% ARV. So that's why I like the more fixed cost method, especially in the beginning, where you actually like line out all your fixed costs, roll those into the fixed costs, and then subtract repairs and subtract profit that you want in order to get a more dialed in maximum allowable offer. And then what you can do is you can go back just like we did on the lists, and you can look at how you did and all the data that you have and see where it falls. If they all fell like mine, 15% minus repairs minus profit, so 85% minus repairs minus profit, then my holding costs were almost always 15%. And so if you look at that, that's a little bit easier way to go, I think, than just taking a broad one because you roll your profit in there. I like to pull my profit out. So that's just one thing that I like to do for mine. So that's a little bit about running numbers, looking at it, but big picture as a wholesaler, go send out this mail, go get these leads, bring them into you, and don't be afraid of running the numbers that are a little bit off or incorrect, because like if I ran my numbers, there are 10 people on this call that were flippers that were giving wildly different profit numbers, right? Like the guy who only wanted $18,000 for that house, I can pay more, and if he's on my list, right? But the person that wanted $50,000 or $40,000, like I got to get it really low to make them happy. And then you got the person that might swing the hammer themselves. They're a contractor, and it's not going to cost them $30,000 because it costs them $20,000. So that person might be able to pay $70,000 or even $80,000 for this house, and you don't know that. So your goal as a wholesaler is to build that buyer's list really, really big and really, really strong. And I've got some amazing YouTube video. I got a YouTube video that I put together on how to do that very quickly. On our YouTube channel, Seven Figure Flipping YouTube channel. And we also have them in some of the like bonus recordings and stuff like that. We talk about how to build your buyer's list. That's really, really important. If you're a flipper, you need to do the stuff that we're doing, build your marketing and go get leads and find money. And then as a wholesaler, you need to do exactly what we talked about, go get leads and build your buyer's list at the same time. So don't get overwhelmed by the numbers. I used to freak out about like how much am I, like where's it going to be? And I know Andy or Mike or Terry or whoever's going to do that call with you guys, if you got a ticket to Flip Hacking Live next week, they are going to talk about that, of how to dial in your numbers, what to say, how to negotiate, and how to get those properties down low enough. So that's kind of the next step. But hopefully this gave you guys enough. You can go back and watch this as many times as you want. Go jump in here, watch it over and over and over again. And in fact, I'll talk to the team now. In fact, what I'm going to do is we're going to grab these recordings also, and we'll put them in that membership site. So if you jump into our, you get a ticket to Flip Hacking Live, get all the bonuses, we'll also add that to that membership site. I don't think that'll be too hard for our team to do. Just give us some time to grab these recordings and put them in there. But we'll put them in there for you so that you can go back and watch it at like 2 times speed and fast forward and stuff like that. It'll all be in one place for you. I think that'll be helpful. That way you can use this and then maybe bounce to another recording that expands on this a little bit like that. So hopefully you guys got a ton out of this. This today was about kind of exit strategies, running some numbers, starting to see that, understand it. You can go back and, like I said, watch this over and over and over again, make some adjustments, put your own spin on it. But hopefully you saw how I could kind of come up with an idea of how we can come up with numbers fairly quickly just by using free resources. So comp to property, I think that it's probably pretty good. I would definitely talk to that seller. I would negotiate them. I tried to get them down in the 60s, somewhere really close, maybe even in the 50s. I'd probably start in the high 50s and see how they were feeling, and then go from there. And I would definitely use that property that we had just over on the other, have that property on right down the street that sold for like $65,000 that was bigger, and I would have that in my back pocket. So, okay. Before we go, we've got so many questions. I saw like a ton of questions in here that you guys were asking us specifically about this, and we've had other questions previously. So, we've had like anywhere from 50 to 125 people on there live. We got a ton of people in here. So, what I want to do, if it's okay with you guys, is I want to open it up to I'll do an extra day with you guys on Monday, and we'll do Q&A. So, I'm just going to look at my calendar real quick. I'm throwing my team for a bit of a curveball, especially with so let's do I'll go on Monday. So on Monday, what I'll do is I'll open it up just only to Q&A. Like we'll do just Q&A, and I'll do it on we can do it on a Zoom call where you guys actually come in, and I'm not just talking like right now, I'm talking live, but we'll do where you guys can come in live and jump on a Zoom and ask questions. Like we'll unmute you and stuff like that. Is that something? If that's something that you guys want, let me know. Just give me some dollar signs. I really like the dollar signs in the comments, and the number of dollar signs that you put in will tell me how long that I talk to you guys for on Monday. So if you guys can do that, if you're interested in doing something like that, where I'll just answer questions for like an hour, let me know if that's valuable. We have a ton of questions that there's no chance that I can get to it. I'm already like 20 minutes over. So, okay, Joe wants $1 million signs. Awesome. Okay, cool. So it sounds like that would be valuable to you guys. So on Monday, we'll do the same time. We'll do 11 o'clock Central on Monday. I'm going to put this up with me. So don't forget, this is the opportunity. If you guys jumped on late, you guys have the opportunity to grab all this stuff. We're also going to have to add a bullet point there. So I'll add the fact that we'll take these 5 days of challenge recordings, and we'll also put them in the same membership site that you guys get, and we'll just add it. And if you already got one, we'll add it. And then I talked about list source. If you guys already paid for the list source bonus and you bought the Flip Hacking Live ticket and are attending and coming with us to Flip Hacking Live, we'll give you a refund for that. If you just need list source, obviously just buy the list source discount. So, okay, lots of dollar signs. I love it. This is awesome. You guys have showed up. You're doing the homework. You're engaging. You're commenting. You're liking. You're doing all that stuff. And all right, on Monday we will email. So check your email. We'll also probably post a link in here to sign up for that. And what I'll do is I'll just be able to bring you guys in, and we'll be on a Zoom instead of Facebook Live. That way I can unmute you, ask questions. So save your questions for then. And if you want, you can drop them in the Facebook group. If I can get to them, I will. But ideally, I'd like to answer them for everybody. So everybody come on, join me live, and we'll answer some questions on Monday. So was this good? How was this? Was it valuable for you guys? Let me know. Throw a number, a number 3. Throw a number 3 in the comments if you guys really enjoyed this challenge, if you feel like you've got something from it, if we opened up the vault big enough and deep enough for you guys. That was the goal, is to give you guys a bunch of things to work on, to think about, and stuff like that. So the next steps. So what's after this? join me on Monday for a Q&A. I'll just cover anything else that I missed, something that's confusing to you guys. If you aren't going to attend that on Monday, what I want you guys to do is I really want you to do something now, okay? So there's one thing to like show up to these challenges, to attend our virtual events, to come to Flip Hacking Live and all that stuff. But it's not just to get motivated. Like motivation will only get you so far, right? Execution, you've got to get executed. So hopefully this motivated you and showed you that it's possible. You have the belief in yourself. If you're just getting started, you're going to another market, you're trying a new channel or something like that, you've been able to build your blueprint. You've got some clarity on what that looks like. You've got let in a little bit to our company and what we do and some of the thinking that I have. And now it's up to you to go execute. So the people that actually do, they grow, they are very successful, they are executors. And they are willing to jump in, kind of take that risk and hypothesize, test, and pivot like I talked about. Really make those adjustments and jump in and do stuff. So if I can leave you with anything today for the weekend, it's go out there and act on this. So even if your postcard doesn't have to be perfect, your list does not have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect at comping properties. You can miss things. Like, it's okay. Go out there and fail. Like, you learn more from failing than you do from succeeding most of the time. So go out there, take action, and do it. And then show up with me on Monday. If you guys spend some time this weekend, get your stuff together. If you have any questions on Monday, bring it, and I'll answer them on Monday. We'll do like a bonus for you guys because you were so awesome. So, all right, it was fun hanging out with you. Have a great weekend. If you haven't already, go to fliphackinglive.com/bonus. Ton of value here, some absolutely amazing recordings. Flip Hacking Live is going to be off the charts. Awesome. I can't wait. I was talking to somebody today. I have something like secret that I've been planning that not even anybody on the team knows of, something that we're going to do that's going to be really, really fun. So if you're there, you'll see it and you'll know. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit ahead of time. But I've always got a couple surprises up my sleeve at that event that we don't necessarily always talk about and say. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited. I can't wait. October 14th and 15th and 16th in Orlando, Florida. This right here, this bonus, where is it? Here. That bonus right there, that one right there, that is going to expire in a couple days, okay? So this is not going to be, oh, let's just take our time, let's go. Remember, I said the people who succeed in this business, they take action. They make a decision, they decide, and they go. So right now, this is your chance. This weekend, today, right now, open up a window, go to fliphackinglive.com/bonus, jump in, join us, meet all these other amazing people that are on here. They're saying, I'm going, it changed my life. It was so amazing. This is awesome. And this was 5 days of 1 hour. That's going to be 3 days, all day, all night. We go big time. And if you thought this was valuable, it's me and my friends giving a ton of value there, and all the people that are in our community that are doing amazing things. So I really appreciate your time. I know that's the most valuable resource we have. And I thank you very much, especially for me going over each day pretty much. So thank you guys for hanging out with me, and have a great day. Have a great weekend. Go to fliphackinglive.com/bonus. We'll see you in Orlando, and hopefully I see you on Monday for the bonus Q&A. Bye. All right, now you know how to run your numbers, get your ARV, negotiate the price point, get the best deal under contract, and hopefully go out there and make a ton of money. Build your business, grow your business, scale your business, whatever it is for you in whatever phase it is. I had a great time going through all of this stuff with you guys. I hope that you subscribe, you join our channel, you leave a comment, tell me what else you'd love to see from us, and check out some of our other videos right here. See ya.